So this is the Khoodeelaar television channel broadcasting under the banner of Baby Angel Geronimo editions. This is 1710 GMT, 1810 British Standard Time in the United Kingdom. Now this is what is called the bank holiday connected with the Christian season of Easter. Now, this edition is being broadcast still our continuing with the limitation imposed by the platform, the StreamYard.com. And we shall be communicating the updates concerned in due course. And we shall be also broadcasting a series on the artificiality of the internet related service providers like StreamYard.com, not exclusively, but including StreamYard.com. The point that Caitlin Moran makes pretty watch in the Times newspaper. She makes the point about the stupidity she finds in the behavior of Elon Musk. Elon Musk has got hold of the Twitter company, and Caitlin Moran condemns him for misunderstanding the values that people who use the Twitter platform bring to the platform. And we shall be talking more about Caitlin Moran's point about Elon Musk. And we shall be talking, in fact, about the fact that the American billionaires, mainly tech company related billionaires, such as the Mark Zuckerberg and others, that the money that they're making is being generated, the income that they're benefiting from is being generated by users. She talks about Twitter, but I have said this years ago about Facebook. And my point remains the world exclusive original, one of the world exclusive original points that I have made about authorship is that these billionaires owe the money to us, because without the contributions, without the actual posts that we make, these platforms would be useless, pointless, let alone worth billions. So the culture has to change in a very big way. And Caitlin Moran doesn't really deal with it. I don't know whether she has come across my points about Facebook and Twitter and others, but whether she has come across or not makes no difference because she has not dealt with the totality of the issue. The totality of the issue being that because we, the people who use these platforms, are the real generators of the income. So if the culture changes and these people who are looting the money, the income, based on our work, if these people are held to account, then they will cease to be billionaires. And the income that is generated by our work would be shared by the among the users. And I'm absolutely certain that if that is the eventuality, if that happens, then 95% of the shared income would be put back to use for the benefit of humanity. That is my belief and that is my view. So just making the point that Caitlin Moran has partly accepted or acknowledged the connection between the users and the, well, in the case of Twitter, she says that it's valued now at 44 billion. I have to find that particular that page to see whether she uses the dollar sign or the pound sign. Whatever it is, it's 40 plus billion. That is the value of the Twitter company at the present time. So we shall be going into details in due course, not in this edition, but in future editions. Now, in the Twitter post that I have made today already about the piece in Dirty Digger Rupert Murdoch's Times newspaper of London by this mental slave traitor Phillips. Now, those who are new to this particular broadcast and the Khoodeelaar company's nomenclature for criminals like traitor Phillips can do with a bit of help here. P is spelled P-E-E and lips, L-I-P-S. So these two words are put together, P-lips. It's an editing of the word Phillips. And it's the nearest version of Phillips that I could find that befits the role this traitor Phillips has been performing since it was launched as the British establishment's approved mental slave with a black skin. He is completely without any understanding of the needs for campaigning for justice, campaigning against racism, campaigning against imperialism, colonialism, etc., etc. And individually, personally, when he was appointed to present the or work, well, to present the slot, very small slot called skin, SKIN, as if it was his unavoidably unmistakable black skin that he was trying to whiten with the white content. So that was in the 1970s that traitor Phillips. So 70s, 80s, 90s, now it's 6 decades, let's say, over which this mental slave traitor Phillips has been performing the role of the mental slave for the racist masters and mistresses. Two of the most notorious mistresses that have given him the persistent approval are, of course, Hattie Harman and Polly Toynbee. Hattie is Harriet Harman, the Member of Parliament, and Polly Toynbee is the Guardian columnist. Now, there is no black counterpart, that is to say, there is no equivalent black member of the establishment that could be cited about giving the benefit of their approval or the stamp to the mental slave traitor Phillips. Diane Abbott herself is a product of the mental slavery scheme, and she is not known. My phrase, descriptive phrase for Diane Abbott is, of course, Dirty Di. Dirty Di, because she has been, well, she married this black man, African black man, and with him, apparently, she produced the son. But nobody has seen anything in the public domain between the time that she got married and now. I don't see any evidence of Dirty Di showing herself in a picture or an image with this quote husband. All her connections are, of course, with non black personnel. And the most kind of mentioned in the news since Corbyn became the leader of the Labour Party is, of course, Jeremy Corbyn. And according to the Daily Mail group and the Murdoch Scum group, Diane Abbott had a relationship with Jeremy Corbyn. Nobody has said how long that relationship lasted or whether it is still continuing. Nobody knows. But the only person that Dirty Di is known to have a relationship with in a personal way is, of course, Jeremy Corbyn. Although she appeared in the Andrew Neil fronted BBC political slot on BBC One over several years, with the Spanish origin, Michael Portillo, whom it is alleged that she went to school with, and they probably ended up at college with. Although she appeared and has very close relationship with Portillo, including the fact that Portillo is Dirty Abbott's son's godfather. It has not been suggested in my knowledge that she and Portillo had any personal relationship. So the only person that she has had any relationship with is, of course, Jeremy Corbyn. Whatever the length of the relationship or the depth of the relationship, or whether it was him Jeremy Corbyn, that she boasted about rolling in the countryside, in the Cotswolds, for the most exciting half an hour of her life, whether it was Corbyn or Portillo or whoever, has not been particularly named, but that is a pattern which shows that as a black skinned individual, Dirty Di would not be ruled out as a possible source of support to people engaged in opposing racism. But she is not known to have actually endorsed genuine, independent, ordinary black people opposing racism in this country. So we've got the traitor P-Lips not supporting black people, and we've got Dirty Di Abbott not supporting black people. Now, these are two probably among the first 10 in the news kind of, in their featuring in news events. And neither of them is known to have endorsed, supported, encouraged black people in opposing racism. Now that leaves the so-called black section that the racists in the Labour Party manufactured in the 1980s. And the black section, the two words substituted Dirty Di's breasts, because the thing that would draw people's attention to her would be these two words, which were prominently displayed on her chest. And the size and the height and the measure of her breasts got overtaken by the two words, black section. She was, in fact, the black-skinned, black section poster girl for the racists in the Labour Party in the 1980s. I opposed the black section then, and I oppose it now, and I shall continue to oppose the black section precisely because of my involvement in opposing racism and my involvement in opposing black-skinned mental slaves right across the board. For example, in the Bangladeshi community, there is evidence of mental slavery on the part of the so-called a number of individuals that have made careers, beneficial careers, by getting themselves described as Bangladeshi community leaders. These are not Bangladeshi community leaders at all, but that's the trade name that they have adopted, that have been given by the racists who kind of approved them, like the former leader of the Labour Party in Tar Hamlets, Paul the racist Grizzly Beasley. It was my task in 1978, as it has been my task on so many occasions, as part of the movement that I have been developing in defending the community, giving it an identity, creating a structure of ethics and morality. It was my task in 1978, probably in July, to literally point the finger at Paul Grizzly Beasley and to very forcefully describe him as the local racist. It was quite literally a shocking action on my part, as seen by the persons present. All of them were in awe of the likes of Paul Beasley, Grizzly, and the likes of Peter, the awful Newsom, etc., etc. We shall come to that later in this particular edition when I go over the Observer piece that the Observer stupidly ran on the 5th of March 1992 against me over my campaign in defense of the parent governors at the Stratford School, as it then was. Now, I called Paul Beasley the racist in the context of the awareness about racist attacks that was developing necessarily because of the racist murders in May 1978, Waltawali and Obishakali in July 1978. And none of these people present, including in 1978, there was no real Bangladeshi councillor on the Tahrir's Council, and most certainly no member on the GLC from Bangladeshi community. And this is the inevitable reason that even if there were any elected holder of a council position on the local council, it would be pointless, it would be empty, it would be completely without any significance or any purpose, as has been the case since then, and I'll come to that. Because the fact that X or Y is an elected individual does not mean that they're doing the democratic task that they're supposed to be doing, resulting from their election to whatever council or regional organization or even to the parliament. The two women MPs, these are women and MPs, both of them, the two of them representing the only two constituencies. One is Roshnara Ali, associated with Bethnal Green and Bow, and the other is Afsana Begum, associated with the constituency of Poplar and Limehouse, or Limehouse and Poplar. Both of them are stooges. These are mental slaves and stooges, and they're liars. And they have not the slightest idea, they have not got the slightest idea about fighting against racism, let alone fighting for justice against racists. The ingrate Roshnara Ali went to the Mulberry School. I have kept the Mulberry School standing as a single-sex school for girls and as a school that has been based on the conventional results of exams, the best performing school, one of the best performing schools for girls in all of the UK, leading directly to the contacts and a visit to the school itself by the woman called Michelle Obama. Now, I spent about 3 months on my feet collecting signatures to the petition against the then Inner London Education Authority and the local Town Hamlets Council plot to fragment the school and change its constitution and forum and make it a mixed sex school. And because I decided to spend 3 months and was able to collect the necessary number of signatures, the petition to the then UK central government cabinet minister in the name of education, Kenneth Baker, saw the evidence and he rejected the Inner London Education Authority's plot to mess up the Mulberry School. When it came to the next decade, 1984-85, the Town Hamlets Council, and it was only the council because by that time the Inner London Education Authority had disappeared. Town Hamlets Council tried to change the single-sex nature of the Dainford School, which became the Bethnal Green School, which then accommodated the children Shamima Begum, Amira Abbasi, Khadija Sultana, and Sharmina Begum. I tried to get the necessary signatures, but on that occasion, my efforts were just at the 90th, if you like, point, sabotaged by several Bangladeshi traitors who sold their soul to the criminals in Town Hamlets Council. And they lied to parents, and the parents, accordingly, the requisite number of signatures was missing because those numbers that would have been put to our petition were diverted to the petition that said that the parents wanted the single-sex nature of the Dainford School to be changed. Had that change not occurred, and remember this was happening before 4-5 years before these children were born, 4-5 years before Shamima Begum, Amira Abbasi, and Khadija Sultana were biologically even born. Had the Dainford School remained a single-sex boys' school, then these children, these girls would have gone to Mulberry School, most likely, because the Mulberry School for girls would have been the nearer one for them to attend, rather than the Central Foundation School some way down the road in Bow, near the Bow Church. And had these girls gone to the Mulberry School, it is quite possible, it's only a theory because the reality has been different. It's quite possible that they would not have been exposed to the grooming, the so-called radicalization and all the other things that they became exposed to in the mixed sex school, which was renamed Bethnal Green Academy or something. And it is possible that these girls would be spared that kind of consequence. And they would be like thousands of other girls leading ordinary life without radicalization and all the other things that have followed. So what I'm saying here is that when I called Paul Beasley this racist in 1978, I wasn't doing a one-off thing. That is what I've been doing every single time. And since I arrived in the United Kingdom more than 50 years ago, it seems that I have been having to do these things almost single-handedly, creating an independent, cultural, independent moral, independent constitutional identity for people of Bangladeshi origin. Nothing to do with Bangladesh politically, but Bangladesh culturally, Bangladesh ethically, and in the kind of context of the constant questioning by the racist status quo of the very humanity, very existence, and the rights of the Bangladeshi, the people of Bangladeshi origin. I do this. Nobody else does this. So let's check what is happening with the time. We have been broadcasting this edition of 31 minutes, 32 seconds. So when the theater, let's say, of action moved from an address or a location in Tower Hamlets to a place in Stratford in January 1992, it did that by accident. I organized the London Collective of Black Governors, but I wasn't organizing any activities at the school that became known as the Stratford School in Stratford, London E15. What happened? One day's Evening Standard ran a story about the dispute between the Stratford School head teacher and the parent governors. And the parent governor, who was in post at that time, was called Mr. Shaida, Ghulam Rasul Shaida. Now, Ghulam Rasul Shaida is of, I think, the northwest frontier province of Pakistan. And he told me that he had an MA, Master of Arts, degree from one of the universities in Pakistan before he came to the United Kingdom. If he had that qualification or degree or whatever, he must have done it as part of the CB curriculum vitae. When it came to the understanding political current and political forces at work in the United Kingdom, Mr. Shaida was as innocent as the absolute majority of Pakistani, Bangladeshi, Indian products of universities of those countries. And secondly, Mr. Shaida was kind of resentful rather than practically, realistically aware of. There is a two thing there. Resentful of the fact that the white people he was being opposed by didn't appreciate him. Now, he could only feel resentful if he didn't understand racism, he didn't understand colonialism, didn't understand imperialism, and he most certainly didn't understand the crusade. Because any understanding of the crusade and any understanding of racism and colonialism and of the East India Company would have enabled him to not feel resentful about white folk not showing him appreciation. Because that is the expectation he had about the stinking racist woman called Anne Smelling. Anne Smelling is the name that I gave her because of her racist stench. Now, instead of showing recognition to Mr. Shaida and his colleagues, Anne Smelling made a big issue of the fact that they had the audacity as parents' representatives and parent governors to make any comment about what she was doing in the school. That's what created the actual dispute. And my attention was drawn to the piece in the evening, No Standard Standard. And I'll come to the descriptive No Standard Standard later in this edition. I read the piece in the Evening Standard, No Standard Standard. That was byline to Shekhar Bhatia. Now, Shekhar Bhatia, I think, is a name either from Sindh or Punjab, one of those parts. And this Bhatia, was completely mentally enslaved to the racists who owned and controlled the evening No Standard Standard. As happened on many occasions during the late 1980s protests against the propaganda war against Muslims waged through the Saitan Rushdie, many Muslim ordinary people campaigning in the local communities were targeted by anti-Muslim opponents who completely intentionally misstated their local activities as being connected with the opposition to Saitan Rushdie. I'll give an example shortly. There was no evidence whatsoever that Mr. Shaida was even aware of the campaign that was going on or had gone on a few years previously about Saitan Rushdie. Mr. Shaida was genuinely concerned about his position as a parent governor, and he was concerned about his getting recognition from Anne Smelling. And he wasn't getting the recognition. But in his piece, Shekhar Bhatia completely stupidly mentioned Mr. Shaida as being a campaigner against Saitan Rushdie. Now, that was intentionally included in that piece in order to undermine Mr. Shaida's authenticity as a parent governor engaged in parent governor's campaign for rights at the Stratford School itself. Nothing to do with Saitan Rushdie. In any case, all the so-called Muslims who were featured in various ways across the United Kingdom as being engaged in campaigns against Satan Rushdie. Every single one of them has gone to sleep because their campaigns were absolutely artificial. Nobody could see me anywhere near any of those people. I neither made a statement in support of their campaign, nor would I make any campaign in support of their campaign. And I haven't. My statements against Satan Rushdie are independent of all of those people. And my statements remain objective, fact based, full stop. Nothing to do with any of the people that were promoting themselves as campaigners for Muslim rights against Satan Rushdie. They were not. But they were claiming to be. And included in that kind of stupidity was this burning of this stupid book in Bradford. That itself was the result of some kind of stupid advice by some idiot. Because in my view, a constitutional, ethical, and fact based campaign is the one that actually has any significant chance and likelihood of getting across. Burning a book is the childish, infantile idiocy. And yet, one of these stupid morons, nothing to do with the Stratford School, but one of the morons told a county court in London, where I had a litigation against this idiot. He told the county court a story that he had seen me on television campaigning against Satan Rushdie. Now, he could not have done that because I never made any appearance, to my knowledge, on any program or slot doing any campaign about Rushdie. What this criminal must have seen me on television was something else, because I have been appearing on television now. How long have I been appearing on television? Mainstream television news, I have been appearing for more than 50 years, 51 years, 52 years, 53 years, 54 years, whatever. And I don't plan to appear on these programs. These programs have featured me as based on objectively covering activities that I have been leading or involved in. I was the main lead story 53 years ago in the national news channel, television news channel of Pakistan at that time in 1970, January 1970. It's not something I had planned and I would have known. I only knew about this when I watched the news in the evening. I was the main lead story. Why? I wasn't part of any political party or anything. I made an objective, independent observation outlining the deficiencies of the universities, their bureaucracies, and the colleges and their bureaucracies. Fair enough. That was of such magnitude that the editors of the news channel correctly gave that their priority. It deserved. I was on the mainstream BBC News, main evening news bulletin on the 4th of May 1991 because I was campaigning for John Major's regime to support the cyclone affected people of Bangladesh. So, therefore, when this moron in 1992 claimed in a county court that I had been on television campaigning against Satan Rushdie, his purpose was nothing to do with the content of what I was doing, but his idea was that he would draw support from the racist, anti Muslim judiciary to his side and against me. So, this is what happened in 1996. Now, nothing, nothing about the Stratford School would fit that kind of scenario. So I immediately smelt a rat, as they say. With apologies to the rats, I will not use this intentionally, but that is. And I think I denouncing that, and I contacted Mr. Shaida, who obviously welcomed the support that I was offering him. And I think from January up to June 1992, the campaign prevailed. But because of Mr. Shaida's lack of political understanding, that campaign would not go beyond that time without my day-to-day presence, which was too demanding because of my other commitments. Now, going back to the issue of Tar Hamlet's Council and the role of Paul Beasley that I condemned in 1978. Now, just compare Mr. Shaida with the Bangladeshis in Tar Hamlets. One of the Bangladeshi so-called youth leaders, or more than one, was kind of drafted in by Paul Beasley as one of his favorite stooges. And Beasley spun all kinds of magic to impress these youth leaders. Now, no one in their right minds would buy that, but these people did. So, all the Bangladeshi community leaders that you can see on the list, approved list, are bogus plastic ones that have been created by the racists, conferring on them their approval. And all the Bangladeshi criminals who became councillors, including the criminal Paula Monzila Uddin, who eased herself in the House of Peers. I had predicted them to be criminals long before they became known as criminals. So, this is the factual, evidence based action. The Khoodeelaar campaign succeeded because of the evidence that the campaign was based on. as I have posted in the last 24 hours. The comment piece that I posted on The Guardian on the 26th of October 2010 actually summarized the key events around the 2010 campaign for the infliction of the corrupt post of elected mayor on the borough of Tar Hamlets. Let's see if I can find the actual piece that I posted on The Guardian on 26th of October 2010. This Khoodeelaar campaign on Khoodeelaar television channel, broadcasting under the banner of the baby angel Geronimo, is literally an Geronimo is an alpaca, the best baby angel Geronimo in the whole world. And baby angel Geronimo symbolizes the purity, symbolizes the innocence, symbolizes the compassion, symbolizes the justice, symbolizes the love, universal love, against the evilness personified by the woman called Christian evilness, based at DEFRA, United Kingdom Department for the Destruction of the Environment, Christian evilness Middlemiss. And at the time, until his departure, due to the messed up state of the UK central government, George Injustice Eustace, and the evilness called Boris Johnson, and the collection of evilness called the Dominic Nasty Lyson, and other criminals who have been pronouncing in favor of the agenda of attacking innocent baby angel Geronimo by the DEFRA, including the 3 High Court judges. So the baby angel Geronimo is a witness. Baby angel Geronimo is a witness to the injustice, the cruelty, the criminality, the lack of compassion, the evilness personified by all the evil individuals that together constitute the power structure in the United Kingdom. The evilness as described in the Surah Al-Isra in the Holy Quran. They shall be punished in the day of judgment. They shall be punished for their lies and their conspiracies, as shall every single one of the liars fronted by the evilness called Boris Johnson, that are forever confecting any pretext and excuse to sell their lies as the truth. And the evilness is not going to be held only against so called Muslim evil ones. It will cover all of humanity. That will be held to account in the judgment. All the lies, all the conspiracies, all the liars will be held to account. Every time the traitor P. Lips decides to write a piece attacking the people fighting for justice, the angels that are sitting as witnesses on either of the shoulders write down what he's doing. If he does the bad things, that the angel on the left knows the bad thing. If he does, which is theoretically possible but practically impossible, but whenever traitor P lives thinks of telling lies against the innocent people, the angel on the left side, left shoulder, records that evidence. And the evidence recorded by the angels will be produced for the day of judgment. It will not be somebody else. So the baby angel Geronimo is witnessing all the bad things that the evil ones are doing. And baby angel Geronimo has not been supported by the majority of the people who own and occupy the places and platforms. So those people have taken the side of the evil, and they have watched while the baby angel Geronimo has been targeted by the agenda of demonization confected by Christian the evilness. So the baby angel Geronimo is witnessing the continuing fragmentation of the personality and the character and the image of all the evilness. And the baby angel Geronimo is witnessing as authentically as the angels are. And the baby angel Geronimo shall be proven to have been true and truthful, as will be the angels. The evilness that is predicted in the Surah Al Isra in relation to the Satan, the evil angel that was ousted, expelled from the paradise by God, the Satan issued an ultimatum or a threat or a promise to God, saying that he, Satan, would spend his time in perpetuity misleading and misstating the facts and the truth, and misleading people and making them follow him. And God assured him that he might do that, but in comparison with the numbers of beings that would be loyal to God, no number that Satan would attract to follow him would ever come anywhere near matching the number of people loyal to God and praising God, telling the truth. So baby angel Geronimo knows all of that and is protected by God's blessing, and all the poisonous plots, the evil Christian middlemen hatched and confected against the baby angel Geronimo. All the lies would come to visible. Christian middlemen will be held to the severest standard of accountability for even thinking to do harm to the baby angel Geronimo. So, baby angel Geronimo believes in God, believes in the ultimate authority of the truth, and believes in the inevitability of justice being delivered against the unjust ones, the evilnesses that have colluded to confect a series of absolute untruths against him. Extrapolate that and apply the liars like Boris Johnson, confecting the lies against innocent people, liars like Boris Johnson saying, Boris Johnson, the evil one, saying, Muslim women who wear burqas being to say. He's condemning these women for being modest, for hiding their faces out of modesty. And the evil Satan, Boris Johnson, denounced them as criminals. And instead of disowning him, instead of distancing themselves from the evil Boris Johnson, Stanley Johnson and his daughter Rachel Johnson pointed out that condemning the Muslim women wearing burqas as the evil Boris Johnson had condemned, Boris Johnson had not gone far enough. Now, these words are not mine, these are on the record, not only on the record in the ordinary secular accessible media, but they are on the records as recorded by the angels sitting on the shoulders of Rachel Johnson and Stanley Johnson. When his own so-called licensed law trader David Penick, King's counsel, appeared along with Boris Johnson during the hearing before the Privileges Committee. The video is still there online. You can see that even David Penick, who was there to advise Johnson the liar, was demonstrably, evidently, physically feeling sick with embarrassment at the incoherent, untruthful, unconvincing utterances by the Satan personified Boris Johnson. Baby angel Geronimo is witnessing all of that. And Boris Johnson lies before the privileges committee amount to persistent package of lies comparable to the lies that Boris Johnson perpetrated against the baby angel Geronimo. And baby angel Geronimo is vindicated by each and every particular perpetuation of lies by Boris Johnson, perpetuation of lies by Christian evilness, Middlemas. So baby angel Geronimo is the platform, the banner under which we broadcast this Khoodeelaar television channel bulletins. And we have been vindicated. Now, in terms of appearing on television as mere media, I have always had to struggle in refusing to make appearances on the media. If I didn't refuse, I would have been appearing on thousands and thousands of occasions. But there is a if the truth can be told, but if the truth is being undermined, then it's not justified. Every single perpetrator of lies and lying shall be held to account. Every single conspirator, every single plotter will be held to account. The baby angel Geronimo is the symbol of truth and justice and fairness and purity and innocence and emphatic testimonials that are comparable to the records being kept by the angels on either side, either shoulder. When Lutfur Rahman termed his council perpetrated a series of lies, Lutfur Rahman perpetrated the lies on the assumption that his lying was being not noticed. But he is a fool. Every utterance is being recorded by the angels. And Lutfur Rahman lied in our knowledge, in the context of our campaign. Every single time Lutfur Rahman communicated any statement, Lutfur Rahman did so untruthfully and lying. And he shall be held to account. As would be his hench people, and his colluders, his co-conspirators, liars. We knew that Luthraman was a liar, was going to let down the community badly when we opposed the infliction of the mirage called the elected mayor. So those people who supported him should not have supported him, but they would have only not supported him if they had belief and faith in the faith that they claim to have faith in. For example, Shamsul Haq. The spelling is different from my name, Haq. Shamsul Haq, who used to be an imam in the Ford Square Mosque, London E1, was exposed as a liar. That is God's justice on this world. Shamsul Haq should not have lied for Lutfur Rahman, but he did. And he got caught in the most spectacular way, caught by non-Muslim people who don't necessarily have any faith in the Holy Quran, who may not ever have read or heard about the Surah Al-Isra. But his own lying exposed Shamsul Haq, the so-called Imam of the Ford Square Mosque in London E1, as having lied. And that is similar to the way that Paula Monzilauddin was exposed during the hearings. She appeared like Shamsul Haq to give character reference to Lutfur Rahman. And before she got anywhere near to creating any character reference for Lutfur Rahman, she was reminded of the evidence of her stealing money from the public by lying about her actual address. Paula Monzilauddin was so corrupt, so opportunistic, and so brazenly determined to outsmart ordinary people that nobody could come in our way. And she went all the way to the House of Peers. And what did she do? She got exposed as a liar. She had no high principles of morality, ethics. She was exposed as a liar and a thief. And this completely undid her performance in the election court. And Lutfur Rahman was done serious damage by the liars Shamsul Haq and Paula Monzilauddin. The result contributed to Richard Morey, the election commissioner, concluding that Lutfur Rahman had done corrupt things and that he must be kicked out of office for at least 5 years, the maximum that Richard Morey, the election commissioner, was under the legal provision was able to do. If he had facilities to throw Lutfur Rahman out forever, Richard Morey would have happily done that. But Richard Morey was only an election commissioner. the electors in our hamlets and the petitioners who actually brought the petition against Lutfur Rahman had the heavier burden of responsibility to stop Lutfur Rahman returning again, which he did. How did that happen? We shall be examining the evidence in due course. So we shall be putting an end to this particular bulletin at 1 hour 15 minutes and the time being 18:25 18:26 GMT on Bank Holiday Monday 10th of April 2023.